What are Hirst Arts molds? How do you use them? And how awesome are they? You're about to find out this week on Tabletop Witchcraft. Hey there, and welcome back to Tabletop Witchcraft. This week, we're going to do a video on Hirst Arts molds. I had a conversation a little while ago with Bruce Hirst, and he sent me 10 molds to see what I could come up with using these. So what I decided to use was Hydrostone. It's a gypsum cement, and I'm going to show you all the materials you need to mix and cast with these to produce some really awesome looking pieces for your terrain. Alright, if you're ready, let's go grab some supplies and let's get crafting. Okay, so these are some of the Hirst Arts molds that were sent to me by Bruce. You can see each mold is going to have a ton of different things that you're going to cast. And in this video, I'm going to be able to cast 4 of these molds at one time. So here's the container of stuff I bought in preparation of making this video. You're going to need a couple of putty knives. I got a 4-inch and a 6-inch. Here's a stack of the molds. Again, Bruce sent me 10 of these. I actually have a couple that are curing right now in the background. Grab a couple of gloves because this can burn your hands, the powder. And I took a regular tray you get at a cafeteria, and you'll see that little piece there on the bottom that I mounted onto that, and that's because that's going to fit nice right onto this Dental Lab vibrator to help get rid of all the bubbles in our mold. You could also make a board that you kind of whack on the table to get rid of them as well. You don't have to get this elaborate. But, you know, that's me. I couldn't help it. There was some gear to get, and I had to pick it up. Alright, now this is Hydra Stone. It's what we're going to be making all of our pieces out of. And then you're going to want to pick up a few of these clear solo cups. In order to make 4 of these molds at once, you need 4 ounces of water and 12 ounces of Hydra Stone. So once you have those marked out, you can go back to these cups. You never have to really use a scale again, and you'll be all set to just kind of crank out 4 at a time. Now, the cleanest and neatest method of doing this is to, obviously, like this, in my opinion, is to just slowly get the powder out of the cup. And I don't bother saving the cup. You could set it aside and rinse it out. I just tossed it because I didn't want to mess with it going through the house. Now, you're always supposed to pour plaster into water, not water into plaster. But, you know, I kind of poured it into the bag just a little bit right on the side. It didn't really mix or do anything. And we're just going to get the air out of the bag and then slowly seal it. Now, you can tell we don't have any powder anywhere. There's absolutely no mess so far. We're just going to let that rest for a few minutes. Then kind of massage it in the bag to make sure you got all the clumps out. This whole process took maybe about 5 minutes. Now we're going to take some of this debubbleizer and spray it pretty liberally on these molds. You don't want big puddles in here, but you also don't want to miss any spots. This is going to make sure that no bubbles stick or come up through. Now, if you want to get on your A game, you get a bag like this, and if you get the cut just right, you can have it pour out something like this. Okay, just kidding. Don't do that. Get a bag that is not split or flat at the bottom. That way when you cut it, you only have one hole. It makes it a lot easier to work with. I wasn't going to redo it for this video, but you get the idea. Alright, using the 4-inch putty knife, you want to kind of zigzag it in a back and forth motion across the mold, making sure to get the plaster or the Hydra Stone into all the sections of the mold. You can see there I turned on the Dental Lab vibrator to help spread the material around in there. And just take that putty knife and just zigzag back and forth over the mold until you have it all nice and leveled out. Now after maybe, I did it about 60 seconds, maybe a minute and a half with that vibrator on to kind of make sure I had all the bubbles out. I waited about maybe another 5 minutes or so, and you can see the plaster starting to set already, the Hydrostone. And take your putty knife back and do a nice back and forth zigzagging motion. You don't want to do a straight pull like that. And it will help remove all the excess off the top of the mold. So when you take them out like this, you get nice clean pieces. And you can see how awesome that detail is. I was actually really shocked at the detail and the actual pieces that were cast into these. And he's got all different molds, anything from cave, fantasy setting, roof tiles to sci-fi and industrial. I was really pumped to get my hands on these pipe sections. He's got, I think, 3/8 and 5/8 inch sections. This was the Tavern Mold. You can see this is a big keg that you'd see in the tavern. Some of these sections will come out in half, obviously, because you can't have the whole thing poured at once. So you just got to do the mold twice and glue them together. When you look at the detail of that crate, it even comes with a lid. It's pretty sweet. If you want to pick up any of the products you see in this video, all the Amazon product links can be found in the description below. Alright, now for the cleanup. Super simple. All I did was just kind of wiggle the mold back and forth over the tray, using the putty knife to kind of pop up these sections. And then just a little bit of warm water and actually just a paper towel was all I needed to clean not only the tray, but the molds themselves. And here's a few examples of the pieces after they had some time to cure. And these shingles are going to be awesome. I can't wait to try those out. But I mean, just take a look at that background. There's gems, barrels. Here's this fan exhaust. That's going to be totally awesome to use in an industrial setting. We got crates. There's little stalactites and stalagmites in here. Busted up barrels, sacks with grain. It's going to be totally awesome to use these to really embellish and really make your crafts that much more exciting to look at. I can definitely see how this would get addicting, getting more of these molds. Little gold pile. Yeah, this would go on and on. I mean, there was so many things that I didn't show in this. His little sci-fi door. Okay, everything that you see here right now literally is 2 casts. It took me about maybe 2.5 hours to cast all that. Now I'm going to show you how to use those pieces to make a really cool alchemy bench. Now before you start painting this, you're going to want to hit it up with a primer because the Hydra Stone is going to want to suck in all that moisture. Once the primer's set, we're just going to use a bunch of Vallejo paints to paint these up. Typically on terrain, I don't use, nice Vallejo paint. I'll use, more like craft paint. But these are small enough that I figured it would warrant some of this Vallejo paint. And all that is, as you can see in the background, it's a black-brown. Here's some lead belcher that we're going to do the metal. I don't even know what this is, just a little detail piece in the front. Alright, now the top, we're going to turn this into a granite slab. I painted that in a dark gray. It's a dark German gray. Now I'm going to paint some marble lines in this. And to get really fine lines, nice and smooth, you want to use a flow aid. So I mixed some of that in. You don't need a lot. Mix that right in with the white paint. And when you're doing marble, when you come at an angle with these veins, when you get to an edge where we cut, you want to come straight down just like that. Alright, now to start adding some color to this. Again, we added some flow aid to this light blue, and I'm going to go right down through the white. Try not to cover all of the white. So one of the cool things about painting marble is that if you look online, there's an infinite amount of crazy looking pieces of marble out there, granite, all that stuff. So just get, a few references from online. All I did was just stipple a bunch of light gray paint and then some white all over to the top of this. And once that's done, we'll take a little Agrax Earthshade for a wash over all the wood. And that wood was dry brushed with a lighter tan. Now to make this believable, in the last final step, you want to hit up that marble with some gloss varnish. Alright, now I'm not going to show all the little pieces that I put on top of the table. I ended up painting up a bowl of like some fire salt, a cabinet, a little jar. This is going to be a tome. If you can tell what the tome is, if you can actually see what I'm writing, let me know in the comments below if you can read it. And again, all this fine detail, you need to use flow aid with your paint. For the parchment, I used a light tan. I washed it with some Agrax Earthshade also. And this was a lot of fun painting this. And this method here is just a little wet blend. I'm kind of mixing together all these colors while they're still wet on this page of the book. So to glue this together, all you have to do is use some Eileen's Tacky Glue. It's actually what's recommended on the Hirst Arts website. I've used this with the Hydra Stone pieces that have not been painted, as well as the pieces that were painted, and they hold together rock solid. Yeah, this is definitely going to become addicting, working and making these really cool little pieces with all the different things that you can cast. Now, as a little secret for watching this all the way to the end of the video, I'm actually going to use this Alchemy Bench in a video coming up somewhat soon on the channel. So I'm really excited. You'll definitely see this little piece down the road. So I'm really enjoying casting with these molds. The amount of detail and embellishments you can get for your crafts in such a short amount of time is pretty incredible. If casting in resin is your thing, you could use these molds to cast 10 or so perfect pieces out of this gypsum cement, and then pour silicone over those and make your own molds to cast in resin as well. Cleanup is a breeze. A little bit of warm water and a rag cleans up your tray and the molds quickly. I was about 1 hour and 45 minutes start to finish, all cleaned up, everything put away, doing 4 of these molds. If you like the video, please hit that like button, leave a comment, share the video, and consider picking up some merch and heading on over to Patreon. It's support over there that really helps fund the channel with all this new media and all this new stuff that's going on, as well as joining the Coven. It's a really cool community that we're starting over there, and I'd love to have you join the Tabletop Witchcraft family. Alright, until next time, I'll see you around.